So I just got done watching King-Ohger episode 49, the penultimate episode, the episode leading into the series finale, and I am lost for words right now after watching this episode. This episode was some endgame level shit going on with everything that was happening. I mean, I got Avengers Endgame vibes from watching this episode. Like, it was freaking insane with all the action happening on this scene, but not only that, all the characters that came back to get involved in this war, and you had some really heart-filled moments. Like, this episode, hands down, I want to say, I might be jumping the gun already, but like 10 out of 10 for me, because I know I've been rough on King-Ohger for the past couple of weeks here and there, and I am kind of King-Ohger burnt out with everything going on as we get closer and closer to the finale, because, you know, the next Sentai is right around the corner. But this episode was so freaking good. I mean, I'm lost for words right now. So it starts off where the previous episode picked up on, where Gira threatened Doug dead and says he'll be the one who's going to strike him down and cut him up. And then when he turns his head around, he sees the Kakia spaceship taking off, and Gira's like, thank goodness, they're leaving. Everyone got out safely. And then Doug Dead's like, oh, not if Carmagen has something to say about this. And then you suddenly see the ship go down. Now, this reveal is kind of a double-edged sword, because the audience knows what's going on with what happened last week, but Gira doesn't. So it seems like that Carmagen might have shot down the ship and it comes crashing down, but that's not the case, because everyone just ends up getting out of the spaceship. It kind of does look like it did crash down, because a lot of the characters, all the civilians of Terra, or the citizens of Terra, they're all banged up, they're all sort of scratched up, I guess from a rough ship landing. Maybe Carmagen did shoot it down in the end, I'm not entirely sure. But it's a really cool reveal to have like all the people come forth and they decide to help out Gira and all the other kings, and they come to the realization by saying the citizens of Terra are rebelling against the king so they can fight against the galactic insects, and we're all standing together. And that's the one thing I do like about this finale of King-Ohger, because it's everyone from each side of the country, the entire planet of Terra, coming together to fight the galactic insects, because in this battle you just get a massive war between everyone, and you have all the King-Ohgers, sort of everyone except for Gira, because Gira does a little bit of fighting in this episode as well, but you have most of the other King-Ohgers who were banged up from last week's episode. They're sitting on the sidelines and they're just recovering their wounds in the episode. But this episode gets even more crazier as it ties into the movie, which I gotta clear up my mistake from last week. So, Defnarok did not come from the spaceship. I do apologize, there was no spaceship present. He came through the gates of hell, and a lot of people said if you watch the movie, you'd know that. And I do apologize, I have not seen the King-Ohger movie, so I guess that's why I was a bit confused. But hey, funny interpretation that I did have. So, the gates of hell open back up, and we get to see all these characters come back. We get to see, I think her name is pronounced Devalonica. Her name, Gira's childhood friend from the movie. But then, when the gates of hell open up, you get this really cool scene where you get to see several characters come back. We get to see the return of Orochi, the former ruler of Tofu. We get to see Karas come back, or Karasu, depending on what subs you use, the former ruler of Goken. But not only that, we get to see Bushimir come back, we get to see Rita's parents come back, we get to see Jeremy's mum come back. And somehow, with the gates of hell opening up, we also get to see the return of all the previous galactic insects come back as well, which was weird, but I guess they slipped through when the gates of hell opened back up. They don't really explain it, but hey, it's this cool endgame moment where everyone's just fighting, but even like the galactic insects are getting overpowered by the sheer amount of people in this episode. And with everyone coming back, you get some really cool moments, like you get to see Jeremy's mum go ham on Groody in this episode. You get to see Karasu and Orochi transform. You get to see freaking Karasu turn into Palpy and Purple, and then you get to see freaking Orochi turn into freaking King-Ohger Black, or like, like you get to see like a female Black Ranger, which is really cool in this episode. Like they don't focus on it too much, but it's a really cool moment where you get to see all the other kings like transform. But I just love their interactions with all the characters when they come back. Like you get some really nice moments, like Dabowski's out of like the game in this episode, and freaking Orochi talks shit to him saying, hey, if you're just gonna sit around and do nothing, I'm borrowing this. And she picks up the sword about what leads to the transformation. And you've got Himeno's parents, where you're expecting some big, like, heart-filled moment between Himeno and her parents, but you don't get that. You kind of see her look at her parents, but she just, like, waves to them casually, which is, like, a nice little moment within itself. Jeremy got a face full of titties when his mum came back, so I'm sure a lot of people will be jealous of that or fawning over that in the episode, but here's what it is. But even Boshimir coming back is really great as well, because you get to see Raculus and Duga team up. And then even like Boshimir coming back for even just a little bit is a really sad moment as well, because at the end of the episode you hear the opening theme song play as everyone just goes back to hell. And there's this scene where Boshimir is saying something to Duga, and you don't hear it because the song's playing, it's like dubbed over, so you just see the mouth flapping. But you can assume he's saying, thank you, my friend, or it was like, good to see you again, my friend, before he vanishes. And then, like, when Duga replies, you can sort of see, like, his lips trembling as he replies back, and he's got this sad look on his face. Like, that was a really nice moment in this episode as well. And even though, like, movie characters do show up in this episode, it was really freaking cool to see the return of, and I'm probably going to butcher their name, but Renaniel, the first king of Gira and Raculus's country. And I most recently watched the King-Ohger movie just to sort of, like, get a recap on what happened, because, you know, I didn't watch the movie for last week's review, but, like, his suit, like, just saying this again, his suit looks so freaking clean, just like the Armor Knight, like, it looks like a mix between the Skull Knight from Berserk and the Death Ranger from the Power Ranger comics. It just looks so freaking clean. And then he goes on to give this speech where he says that, like, the next generation will inherit the Earth and they'll be the ones to sort of lead on after this battle, and everything decides in their fate moving forward. But it also looks like that him and Doug Dead do have some beef going on right now, because Doug Dead says you're like even more dusty than the other ones I've killed, so it looks like maybe Doug Dead killed him over 2,000 years ago maybe as well. But oh my god, like, this episode was so freaking cool. Like, all the fight scenes, all the character interactions between the kings and their people, and the previous king showing up. Like, this was what this episode was like everyone from all the different nations uniting together from all past walks of life, fighting this big army of space bugs to make sure that the future of their planet and other planets are safe. And this episode was so freaking good. Like, I loved it. I really freaking loved it. And I know this wasn't much of a review, it's just me gushing how great this episode was and recapping it, but there's not much to talk about when it comes to story with this episode, because it was just mostly one big fight scene in this episode. But yeah, King-Ohger episode 49, I really, really enjoyed. I can't wait to see how this is going to end, because next week's is the big finale, and we're going to get the big final battle with Doug Dead, and probably the epilogue as well in this episode. But this series has been a lot of fun to watch, King-Ohger, and it's going to be sad to see all these characters go in the end. I know I said that, like, with Dawn Brothers last year, but King-Ohger, I'm going to be sad to see these guys go as well. But anyway, guys, what did you think of King-Ohger episode 49? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. With that said, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, take care, bye.